Start a cult, they said. It'll be fun, they said. Well, you know what? It actually was. Okay, so I've had a little time to think about this one. You know, I needed to let it percolate for just a little bit. Cult of the Lamb is a roguelite game / dungeon crawler with a side of management. Once you are saved by the one who waits, you get brought back from death in order to build your very own cult. Your cult followers come to you in various different ways, like freeing them in the dungeons or purchasing them from this freaky meat-hungry spider. This is where the management part comes in. You will need to start clearing land and building things in order to keep your cult followers happy. The more they are happy, the better off you will be. Each follower has their own set of traits, which can lead to some pretty interesting characters. Some will revolt against you, and rather quickly, and they kind of want others to join in, on the hate parade. Early in the game, you won't have many options to deal with these pesky little critters other than sending them off to meet their maker. Now, if you want that happy cult, you'll of course need to build them beds and feed them. Feeding them is, let's just say, a task you're going to be doing a lot. On top of that, they can get sick by the food you feed them, so you gotta watch out what you're cooking. Also, get ready to clean up their poop, and possibly some vomit, early on in the game. Those jokers poop everywhere, by the way, and you must clean it up immediately, otherwise they can get sick from it, and they'll run around and be like, ew, gross. Well, alright, enough with the needy followers just for a minute. Of course, I'm a big fan of games where you get to gather resources and build things. No worries here, because that's a big part of this game. You're going to need all sorts of items such as wood, stone, and coins, etc. in order to build things. You find the majority of this in the dungeons, but in the beginning you only have access to one of the 4 dungeons. The others can be unlocked by clearing the dungeon, and of course you have to have a certain amount of followers to unlock it as well. Feels like kind of like a popularity contest, with you being the only one striving for all the attention. Again, keep those followers happy so you can gain their devotion. This is how you'll unlock buildings and upgrades. You can assign each follower to a task, but I have most of mine just worshiping at the totem. That's where the devotion is stored, and you'll have to suck that bad boy dry as often as possible because it does have a limit. And dang, there really is a lot to this game. There really is. Where were we now? Okay, a little sidetrack. So, you've got yourself a food station, and hopefully some decorations for them to oogle over. Gotta keep them happy, remember? Each day should start off with a sermon in the temple. That's where you can get a little boost in devotion, and also hold rituals or upgrade your crown. Rituals can be things like building a bonfire and having a good old time around it, or sacrificing one of your members. It's up to you. There are a bunch of other rituals, but the fun is finding them out later in the game. So I'll leave that up to you. Your crown, well, it'll give you certain, I'd say, perks, but you have to gain pieces of an item or this idol by doing various tasks for other creatures outside of your cult. Are you confused yet? Well, you're going to meet other little critters that will open up a map, and you can fast travel to these places as well. My favorite place is where you get to play this dice game called Knucklebones, I think it is. Anyways, it's a fun game, and you can even wager some coins and stuff, if you're the gambling type. There is also a place where you'll be able to fish, and that I'm just gonna leave it at that because I don't want to spoil any more for you. The dungeons are an absolute blast. It plays out kind of like Zelda. No, not Breath of the Wild, but I'm talking about old school Nintendo days. No, it doesn't look like Zelda. It's just the map part looks like Zelda. You'll be able to see rooms adjacent to you, but you won't know which way to go exactly. Kind of like in Zelda. You know what I'm talking about? Do you remember it? Each room is locked as you enter, and you have to defeat all the enemies in that room. You'll also run into characters in the dungeon, and you can even rescue followers from enemies. As you start each dungeon, you'll get to choose a melee weapon and a special attack. Don't worry though, because you can stumble across rooms that will let you switch out these weapons, if your starting weapon sucks. But that also depends on how lucky you are. Each dungeon will see you battle a mini boss at the end of it several times until you until you're able to fight the big boss. Don't worry though, you'll know who the big boss is because they will appear a few times throughout the dungeons and talk some smack to you. That is until you bring down the thunder upon them. The boss fights are awesome, they really are, but don't sweat them too much because outside of a few of them, they really don't pose that much of a threat. Okay, I've talked a lot about what the game is about and how to go about doing things. And I don't really want to ruin too much of the fun for you, finding out some of this stuff on your own because that's what makes the game so great. With that said, the game does look fantastic. The music is pretty great as well, and the characters in the game, they're done great. They look so dang adorable, cute, whatever you want to call it. I loved all the little critters that they have. And you can actually customize their appearance and the name of each follower. But you will need to unlock more of the different variations of the followers as you go along in the game. You will also be able to unlock decorations for your little village, and of course, once again, you want to place them down so they will what? So the followers will what? That's right, stay happy. The game itself runs pretty smooth, and the controls, they're basic, but they work just fine. I did, however, run into a few minor bugs. One was when I sent a follower to the stocks, or I don't know how to pronounce the name. I get tongue-tied, okay? And I can't pronounce the words sometimes that I'm trying to say. But the little thing where you put your head in it and your hands and they lock it down, whatever it's called, put it in the comments below so I know what it's called. So I don't even, I know what it's called. I just can't pronounce it because I get tongue-tied when I say it. Anyways, so when I would load back into the game, the follower wouldn't be in there. They would be waiting at the front, and you couldn't interact with them or anything at all. They would just be standing there. So there would be nothing you can do. The only way to fix it was to log out and then, jump back in, and then you'd be good. No biggie. It only happened a few times, so it wasn't really a big deal. The biggest bug though was when I was in a dungeon fighting an enemy and it got stuck in an animation, and I couldn't hurt it or damage it at all. And of course that meant I couldn't progress through the dungeon because you have to beat all the enemies in a room, so I had to start over again. That only happened to me one time though. That's the only issue I ran across in my 20 plus hours of gameplay. And once you beat the game, depending on the ending you choose, you can continue to play and, you know, mess around with your followers and do other stuff, whatever, you know, what you've been doing. You can continue, so that's pretty cool. And, you know, speaking of messing around, your dang followers will ask you to marry them. Now, I would advise against this, but hey, you do you, man. They will also ask you to feed them poop. Yes. So yeah, I'm not really sure you want to, you know, marry one of your followers that, you know, wants to eat poop. They will also ask to play pranks, you know, on other followers. They will ask you to do rituals. They will ask you to do, you know, feed them other things. They will ask you to do all sorts of things. So your followers are a little trippy. And one of the most frustrating things of all, they will die on you. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, what, are you not taking care of them? What's going on? No. 99% of the time, they die on you because of old age. This is no joke. And you can decide on whether you want to chop them up and risk, you know, bringing down your follower devotion, happiness is what I like to call it. Or you can build a grave site and bury them there. You know, or I wish you could just chop them up and put them as fertilizer in your garden. You know, because I mean, you need to build a garden so you can feed all your followers berries and cabbage and, you know, all the other whatnots. But, you know, you got to do something with the bodies. I'm just saying, because it creeps them out. They don't like seeing them laying around. Alright, I feel like I've said a lot about this game so far, but I've also left out quite a bit as well. Why? Because finding out most of these things on your own is what makes this game so great. It really does. Experiencing the oddities and the goofball follower reactions to things, it's fantastic. I loved interacting with my followers and seeing what they were thinking at times, you know, reading their minds. I also just flat out love the way the game played. The combat is basic, yes, but the enemies are very creative along with some like fantastic boss fights. Each procedurally generated dungeon has a life of its own, and you know, fast traveling across the map to new areas breaks up like any type of repetitiveness you might start to feel throughout the game. Honestly, I couldn't put this game down once I started playing. Outside of a few bugs, this has been one of the best games I've played so far this year. It's being a cute, evil little lamb and loving every minute of it. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know if you've played this game already and you maybe just checking the video out and what you thought about the game. I liked it very much. It's a great game. It has truly been one of my favorite games this year. On that, my voice, I'm starting to lose it a little bit. It's getting scratchy as all get out. So I actually I know this is kind of long already, but I kind of cut it a little short, you know, just because I didn't think I was going to be able to get through everything that I could with my voice the way it is. But yeah, thank you so much for watching the video. And as always, in yon, bro.